is Miss Horton Reed's residence. I'm calling for Miss Cornelia Scott. Miss Scott is sorry, but she will not be able to attend the meeting of the Confederate Daughters this afternoon. She woke this morning with a sore throat and must remain in bed. Oh, and would you kindly give her apologies to Miss Reed for not letting her know sooner? Thank you. Oh, one moment. I think Miss Scott has another message. What is it, Miss Scott? Miss Scott would like to leave word for Miss Esmeralda Hawkins to call just as soon as she arrives. Thank you and goodbye. See, I'm having to impersonate my secretary this morning.
Well, I was so dim it didn't wake me up.
I've already opened the mail.
Anything of interest?
A card from Thelma Peterson at mail.
How is Thelma?
She says she's progressing nicely, whatever that indicates.
Did she have something removed?
Several things, I believe.
Here's a fortnightly review of current letters.
Yes, there it is. Much to my astonishment, I thought I had canceled my subscription to that publication.
Really, Cornelia?
Surely you remember I canceled my subscription immediately after the issue came out with that scurrilous attack on my cousin, Cecil Tutwiler Bates, the only dignified novelist the South has produced since Thomas Nelson Page.
Oh, yes, I do remember. You wrote a furious letter of protest to the editor of the magazine and received such a conciliatory reply from the associate editor named Caroline something or other that you were completely mollified and canceled the cancellation.
I have never been mollified by a conciliatory reply. Never completely and never even partially. Well, if I wrote the editor-in-chief and was answered by an associate editor, well, my reaction to that piece of impertinence would hardly be what you call mollified.
Here's the new catalog from the gramophone shop in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I see you've checked several items.
I think we ought to build our collection of Lita.
You've checked the civilians that we already have.
Well, it's getting a bit scratchy. And, well, you also noticed I checked a few operatic selections.
Well, which ones? I don't see them.
Why are you getting so excited over the catalog, dear?
I adore phonograph records.
Well, I wish you adored them enough to put them back in their proper places in albums.
Well, here's the Vivaldi we wanted.
Not we, dear, just you.
Not you, Cornelia.
Well, I think Vivaldi is a very thin shadow of Bach.
Well, how strange that I should have the impression that... Shall I answer?
If you would be so kind.
Miss Scott's residence? No, this is Grace. But Cornelia's right by my side. Does Esmeralda home?
I've been expecting your call. Oh, hello, Esmeralda, dear. I've been expecting your call. Now, where are you calling me from? Well, of course, I know you're calling me from the meeting. Sorbonne son dear, mon petit. But from which phone in the house? There's two, you know. The one in the downstairs hall and the one in the Chatelaine's boudoir, where the ladies will probably be removing their wraps. Oh, on the downstairs, are you? Well, by this time, I presume practically all the daughters have assembled. Well, they're going upstairs and call me back from there. I want to make my position perfectly clear before the meeting commences. Well, thank you, dear.
The Confederate Daughters?
Yes, they're holding their annual election today.
How exciting. Why aren't you at the meeting?
Well, I preferred not to go.
You prefer not to go.
Yes, I preferred not to go.
But it's the annual election.
Oh, I told you it was. Oh, intrigue and duplicity revoked me so that I wouldn't be able to breathe in that same atmosphere. Then why are you ringing the bell? You know Lucinda's not here.
I'm so sorry. Where has Lucinda gone?
There's a big colored funeral in town. There's a big colored funeral in town.
Oh, dear, you have that nervous laryngitis.
No sleep last night.
Miss Scott's residence?
Yes, just a moment. Esmeralda, are you upstairs now, dear?
Esmeralda, it's Miss C.C. Bright.
One moment. How dare you put me on the line with that woman?
Cornelia, I didn't. I was just going to tell you that...
Hush! Now, give me the phone. What can I do for you, please? No, I'm afraid my garden will not be open to the pilgrims this spring. Well, I think the cultivation of gardens is an aesthetic hobby and not a competitive sport. Well, individual visitors will be welcome if they call in advance so that I can arrange with my gardener to show them around. No bands of pilgrims, not after the devastation that they caused my garden to suffer last spring. Well, pilgrims coming with dogs and picking flowers and... Yes, you're entirely welcome. Thank you.
I think the election would have been less of a strain if you'd gone to it, Cornelia.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Aren't you up for office?
For office? What is up for office?
Like running for something.
You ever known me to run for anything, Grace? Well, any time I've held an office in a society or a club, it has been at the insistence of its members. Well, I really have an aversion to holding office. This is a different thing. A different thing altogether. It's a test of something. You see, I've known for some time that there's a group or a clique in the daughters which is hostile toward me.
Oh, Cornelia, I'm sure you must be mistaken.
No, there's a movement against me.
A movement against you?
An organized movement to keep me out of any important office.
But haven't you always held an important office in the chapter?
I have never been regent of it.
Oh, you want to be regent?
No, you misunderstand me. I don't want to be regent.
Oh.
I don't want to be anything whatsoever. I simply want to break up this movement against me, and for that purpose I have rallied my forces.
Your forces?
Yes, I still have friends in the chapter that have resisted the movement.
Oh.
Well, I have the solid support of all the older board members.
Well, then I should think you have nothing to worry about then.
My dear Grace, there are 2 chapters of the Confederate Daughters in the city of Meridian. Well, there's the Forest chapter, which is for social riffraff. And there's this chapter, which is supposed to have a little bit of distinction. Well, I'm not a snob. I'm nothing if not democratic, and you know that.
Miss Scott's residence? Yes. Just a moment, please. Esmeralda Hawkins.
Are you upstairs now, Esmeralda? Oh, well, I wondered because it took so long for you to call back. Oh, I thought you said the luncheon was over. I'm glad that you fortified yourself to buy to eat. What did the buffet consist of? Chicken a la king. Oh, that is so characteristic of poor Amelia. Wouldn't you know it? With bits of pimento and tiny mushrooms in it? Well, what did the ladies counting their calories do? Nibble around the edges. Oh, poor dears. Well, and afterwards, I suppose, lemon sherbet and lady fingers. What, lime sherbet and no lady fingers? What a departure! What a shocking apostasy! Well, I'm quite stunned. Now, what's going on? We're discussing the civil rights program. Well, they won't take the vote for at least a half an hour. Now, Esmeralda, I do hope that you understand my position clearly. I do not wish to run for any office in the chapter, unless it's by acclamation. You know what that means, don't you? It's a parliamentary term. It means when someone is desired for an office so unanimously that no vote has to be taken. Well, in other words, elected automatically, simply by nomination, without a vote being taken, unopposed. Yes, my dear, it's just as simple as that. Well, I've served as treasurer for 3 terms, and twice as secretary. Oh, yes, and once as chaplain. What a dreary office that was with all those long, drawn-out prayers for the Confederate dead. Altogether, I've served on the board for, 14 years. Well, my point is simply this, my dear. If the daughters feel that I have demonstrated my capabilities and loyalty strongly enough that I should simply be named as regent, without a vote being taken, by unanimous acclamation, then of course I would feel obliged to accept. But if on the other hand, the clique, and you know the ones I mean, is so bold as to propose somebody else for office, do you understand my position? Well, in that eventuality, hard as it is to imagine, I prefer to bow out of the picture entirely. The moment another nomination is made and seconded, my own must be withdrawn at once, unconditionally. Is that quite understood, Esmeralda? Then good. Go on back downstairs to the meeting and digest your chicken a la king, my dear. And call me back when you have something to tell me.
They haven't had it yet?
Had what?
The election.
Oh, not yet. It seems imminent, though.
Cornelia, why don't you think about something else until it's over?
What makes you think I'm nervous about it?
Well, you're breathing so fast.
I didn't sleep well last night, and you were prowling about the house with that stitch in your side.
I'm so sorry. You know it's nothing. A muscular contraction that comes from strain.
What strain does it come from, Grace?
What strain? Why, I don't know.
A strain from what? Would you like me to tell you?
Excuse me,
Where are you going?
Upstairs for a moment. I just remembered I should have taken my drops of belladonna.
It does no good after eating.
I guess that's right, it doesn't.
But you want to escape.
Of course not.
Several times lately you've rushed away from me as though I've suddenly threatened you with a knife.
Juanita, I've been jumpy.
It's always when something is almost spoken between us.
I hate to see you so agitated over the outcome of a silly clubwoman's election.
Not talking about the daughters. I'm not even thinking about
you
them.
dismiss it completely from your mind. Now would be a good time to play some records. Let me put a symphony on the machine.
No.
How about the Bach for piano and strings? You know, the one that we received from Jesse and Gay for Christmas.
No, I said no. I said no.
Well, something very light and quiet then. The old French madrigal, maybe?
Anything to avoid a talk between us. Well, anything to evade a conversation, especially when the servant is out of the house.
That is it. That is just the thing. Oh, it smooths things over. Sweet and gentle and pure.
Completely dishonest.
Music dishonest?
Completely. It smooths things over instead of speaking them out.
Music has charms to soothe the savage breast.
Yes, so yes, if the savage breast permits it.
Ah, sublime, sublime.
Landowski is an artist with rare precision.
And such a noble face, a profile as fine and strong as Edith Sitwell's. Well, after this, we'll play Edith Sitwell's facade. Jane, Jane, tall as a crane, the morning light creaks down again.
Dear, isn't there something that you failed to notice?
Where?
Right under your nose.
Oh, you mean my flower?
Yes, I mean your rose.
Why, of course I noticed my rose the moment I came in here. I saw you.
Well, you made no allusion to it.
I would have, but you were so concerned over the meat.
I am not concerned over the meat.
Whom do I have to thank for this lovely flower? My gracious employer?
Well, you'll find 14 others on your desk in the library when you go in to take care of the correspondence.
14 other roses?
Total of 15.
How wonderful. Why 15?
How long have you been here, dear? How long have you made this house a house of roses?
What a nice way to put it. Why, of course, I've been your secretary for 15 years.
15 years, my companion. A rose for every year, and a year for every rose.
What a charming sort of way to observe the occasion.
At first I thought pearls, and then I thought no roses. But perhaps I should have given you something golden. Silence is golden, they say.
Oh, dear, that stupid machine is playing the same record over.
Let it. I like it. Just sit down. It was 15 years ago this very morning, on the 6th day of November, that someone very sweet and gentle, silent, a shy little, quiet little widow, arrived at 7 Edgewater Drive for the very first time. The season was autumn because I had been breaking dead leaves over the rose bushes to protect them from the frost. When I heard the footsteps on the gravel, light and quick and delicate, footsteps like spring coming in the middle of autumn, I looked up, and sure enough, there spring was. A little person so thin that the light shone through as if she were made of the silk of a white parasol. Why did you laugh? Why did you laugh like that?
What? It sounded like the first paragraph of a woman's magazine story.
What a cutting remark.
I didn't mean it that way. I just...
What other way could you mean it?
Well, Amelia, you know how I am. I've always been a little embarrassed by sentiment, haven't I?
Yes, frightened by anything that betrays some feeling.
Well, people who don't know you well, nearly all people we know, would be astounded to hear you, Cornelia Scott, the grave and dignified lady, expressing herself in such a lyrical manner.
People who don't know me well are everybody. Yes, I think even you.
Cornelia, you must admit that sentiment isn't like you.
Well, there's nothing like me but silence. Am I sentenced to silence for a lifetime?
It's just not like you.
Not like me, not like me. What do you know what is like me or not like me?
You may deny it as much as you please, Cornelia, but it is completely evident to me that you are completely unstrung over your anxieties over the Confederate daughter's election.
Another thinly veiled insult.
Oh, Cornelia, please.
Oh, Cornelia, please.
If I said anything wrong, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. I offer my very humble apologies.
I don't want apologies from you.
Thank you for the roses.
I don't want thanks from you either. All I want is a little return of affection. Not much, but sometimes a little.
Yeah, you have that always.
And one more thing. Well, a little outspokenness, too.
Outspokenness?
Yes, outspokenness. It's not too much to ask from such a proud young lady.
I am not proud and I am not young.
Sit down.
Is that an order?
I don't give orders to you. I make requests.
Sometimes the requests of an employer are hard to distinguish from an order.
Please turn off the Victrola. Grace, don't you feel that there's something unspoken between us?
No, I don't.
Well, I do, and I feel for a long time something unspoken between us.
Don't you think there's always something unspoken between two people?
I see no reason for it.
But don't a great many things exist without reason?
Let's not turn this into a metaphysical discussion.
All right. But you mystify me.
Well, it's very simple. It's just that I feel that there's something unspoken between us. Well, that ought to be spoken. Why are you looking at me like that?
How am I looking at you?
With positive terror.
Cornelia!
You are, but I'm not going to be shut up.
Go on, continue, please.
I'm going to. I will. No, let it ring. Take it off the hook.
Just let me...
Off the hook, I told you.
Hello? 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 Hello?
I can't stand it!
Be still, someone can hear you.
Huh? Hello? Cornelia? Cornelia, stop!
Now be still and stop that silly little female trick.
You say there's something unspoken, and maybe there is. I don't know. But I do know some things are better left unspoken. Also, I know that when a silence between two people has gone on for a long time, it's like a wall that's impenetrable between them. Maybe between us there is such a wall. One that's impenetrable. I don't know. Or maybe you can break it. I know I can't. I can't even attempt to. You're the strong one of us two, and surely you know that. Both of us have turned gray, but not the same kind of gray. In this dressing gown, you look like the Emperor Tiberius in his imperial toga. Your hair and your eyes are both the color of iron. Iron gray, invincible looking. People nearby are all somewhat frightened of you. They feel your forces and they admire you for it. They come to you here for opinions on this and that. What plays are good on Broadway? What books are worth reading? What books are trash? What records are valuable? What is the proper attitude toward bills in Congress? You are a fountain of wisdom. And in addition to that, you have your wealth. Yes, you have your fortune, your real estate holdings, your blue chip stocks and bonds, your mansion on Edgewater Drive, your shy little secretary, your fabulous gardens that pilgrims cannot go into.
Now you're speaking at last. Go on speaking.
I am very different. Also turning gray. But my gray is different. Not iron like yours, Cornelia, but gray, yes, gray. The color of a cobweb. The color of something white and soiled. the gray of something forgotten. And that being the case, that being the difference between our two kinds of gray, yours and mine. You mustn't expect me to give bold answers to questions and make the house shake with silence. To speak out things 15 years unspoken. How long a time can build a silence, a wall that nothing less than dynamite can break through, and I'm not strong enough.
You're speaking into the phone.
Miss Scott's residence. Yes, she's here. It's Esmeralda Hawkins.
What is it, Esmeralda? Well, what are you saying? Is the room full of women? There's a babble of voices. What are you trying to tell me? Well, have they held the election already? What? 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 Oh, this is mad. I can't hear a word that you're saying. Well, sounds like the 4th of July, a great celebration. Well, try once more with your mouth closer to the phone. What? What? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? She wants to know if I would be willing to serve as vice regent. Now, Esmeralda, listen to me. What's going on? Well, how does it look? Are there some fresh defections? What's going on? Now, Esmeralda, louder, speak louder, and cup your mouth to the phone in case they're eavesdropping. Well, who asked if I would accept the vice regency, dear? Oh, Mrs. Colby, of course, that treacherous witch. Oh. All right, Esmeralda, listen. I will accept no office except the highest. Do you understand that? I will accept no office except... Esmeralda?
Have they had it yet?
What? No. There's a 5-minute recess before the election.
Things not going well?
Would I be willing to accept the vice regency, she asked. And for some reason, they don't elect you regent. Well, then she hung up the phone, and as if somebody had snatched it or the house had caught fire.
Well, you shouted, so I think she must have been frightened.
Oh, whom can you trust in this world? Whom can you ever rely on?
Can't be excused now.
No! Stay here.
If that's just a request.
That's an order. When you first came to this house, you know I didn't expect you.
Honey, but you invited me here.
Well, we hardly knew each other.
We met the summer before when Ralph was
Living. Yes, we met at Swanee where he was a summer instructor.
he was already ill.
I thought, what a pity that this delicate and lovely girl hasn't found someone that she could lean on, someone who could protect her. In 2 months, I heard through Clarabelle Drake that he was dead.
You wrote me such a sweet letter saying how lonely you were since the loss of your mother, and urging me to rest here until the shock was over. You seemed to understand how badly I needed to withdraw from old associations for a while. I hesitated to come. I didn't until you wrote me the second letter.
After I received yours, and well, you wanted urgent.
I wanted to be quite sure I was really wanted. I only came intending to stay for a few weeks. I was so afraid I would outstay my welcome.
Blind of you not to see how desperately I wanted to keep you here
But I
forever.
did see that you wanted to keep me here. Yes? Yes, she's here.
Cornelia Scott speaking. Oh, it's you, Esmeralda. Well, how did it come out? I don't believe you. I simply don't believe you. Mrs. Hornsby elected. Well, there's a dark horse for you. Less than a year in the chapter. Did you nominate me? Well, I see. Well, I thought I told you to withdraw my name if... No, don't explain. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, I have too much already. Well, you know, I'm going into the Daughters of the Baron of Runnymede. Well, yes, it's been established. I have a direct line to the Earl. No, it's been straightened out. A clear line is established. Oh, well, of course, I'm also eligible for the Colonial Dames and the Huguenot Society, and with all my other activities and so forth. Well, I couldn't have possibly have taken it on if they wanted. Well, of course I'm going to resign from the local chapter. Well, yes, I am. My secretary's sitting right here by me with her pencil and her notebook. I'm going to dictate a letter of resignation to the local chapter the moment that I hang up from this conversation. No, I'm not mad. I'm not outraged. Well, I'm just a little amused. Mrs. Hornsby. Well, nothing succeeds like mediocrity, does it? Well, thank you and goodbye, Esmeralda.
Notebook and pencil?
Yes, notebook and pencil. I have a letter to dictate.
What lovely roses. One for every year?